intuitive consultant, and I am here with Tara Kaur. Say hello, Tara, so the
Hi.
camera's on you.
Hi, everybody.
So we're trying to figure out this Zoom thing, which is pretty funny because the last time we were on this video, we were kind of making fun of how we're in person, and now here we are.
That was actually right before we had the quarantine, wasn't it? We had it right before. Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. It was a little fortuitous if you think about it, that we were like, and it's so important to be with your friends, and now here we are, Zoomed.
It was right. It was right. We released it on the Mercury retrograde. Remember, I was watching that video the other day, and I said, this Mercury retrograde is going to be very different than the one that we've had before. We just passed now the spring equinox, so we've entered into this new era called the Age of Aquarius, and there's a lot of new energy coming to this planet. So, all those people that are freaked out about the coronavirus, yes, it is important to pay attention to it. But there's a lot of new upgrades coming energetically to us. And we live on what we call a duality planet. So there's positive and negative, and, try to stay focused on what's positive and uplifting. And you'll be, not as severely wounded probably by this virus, but you want to really pay attention to what matters and make sure you're being of service and keeping the positive uplift on the planet going, and the planet rotating in a way that is beneficial to us all.
Yeah,
we're going through an upgrade of consciousness. All those things that are triggering people are happening for a reason. They're happening for us. About quarantine and being at home and not being able to go outside and living, with the people that sometimes we even choose to live with. Our partners are triggering us, or our children are triggering us, or our parents are triggering us, like whoever it is. Yeah, we're going to talk about that today, right?
Yeah. Today's video is essentially, we're going to talk a little bit about this, as Tara was just saying, this sort of an energetic temperature check of what we're kind of feeling right now, and what we're experiencing, along with other friends who are also sensitives or healers. We're trying to get a good gauge based on the talking that we're doing with people, or the healing work that we're doing with people. And it's definitely fascinating. And as our friend said, it's like poetic how everything is happening.
Well, we're being upgraded right now to a higher frequency, a higher level of consciousness, a higher level of productivity, a higher level of service. We're being asked to honor the earth in a way that's pretty profound. And from my meditations, when I've been doing like global meditations and looking, there's a very, very, very high frequency energy that's coming into the planet right now, and our bodies can't even handle it. It's nothing we've ever seen before. There's been a lot of talk in the last couple months about the patriarchy and the matriarchy, and it's even higher than that. It has nothing to do with that. It's we say in Kundalini yoga is like the Ma frequency, the Ma coming in, and it's out of this world. I actually have in my life, I've had a near-death experience, and having this energy just coming in through the crown. And it's the first time in this lifetime that I've been able to like really feel it, like present on the planet. Like I've had it within me, but it's actually being activated. And that's being activated in us all at this point. We're going through a cellular upgrade. And, and like I said, it's a duality planet. So there's light and there's dark, there's shadow and there's light. So we're going to experience both at this time. But all of you know who've done law of attraction, those kind of things, intention, what we focus on is what really expands. So it's super, super, super important at this point in time to be focused on the positive and what's really actually happening, not get locked up in the fear, because it's an incredibly creative time. A lot can be created in this life, if you don't get locked up in the fear.
Yeah.
So this Ma energy, Ma is the rebirth, right? We're going through a rebirth, which is the spring equinox, this portal we just went through, the beginning of the spring, and it's the balance between light and dark, literally. And that's literally when it hit the United States in a big way, at least in New York. We're here in New York, and that's kind of when it started all about a week ago in New York. We're being asked to upgrade. Yeah. So, and you know what, sometimes when you get a fever, when you get a cold, if you feel a little sluggish, you need the rest, it's burning off karmic patterns. So, it's not all bad. And it can be hard to deal with. We don't like it. It's not fun, but be still. It's a time on the planet right now to take responsibility for you. So if other people are triggering you, what can you do to change your vibration? What can you do to make it more pleasant? Because if you're watching this video, it's likely you're on seeking some sort of spiritual path, and you've got the higher vibration in the house. You're holding the vibration of the house. Now, if you let your vibration tank and you get it sucked into the triggers, right? Well, guess what? The shadow just won, which is okay. It's good to observe. It's good to notice, and choose a different pattern. Okay, be interested in what communications work with people, what don't. If you're in a home with other people, if you're by yourself, just notice your own mind, like what's triggering your downward spiral and what's really elevating you throughout the day.
We are going to be facing what we've been hiding from ourselves. Again, that kind of comes back to shadow. We got to light it up. We got to bring some awareness to it. And right now we have no choice. We quite literally have no choice. There's so much awareness that is shining a light on everything that we do, everything that we put out there, everything we take in. We have to pay close attention to all those things now. And now we're so freed from other types of distractions. We've got the time to do it. One of the things I've heard from a lot of people is everyone's having some crazy dreams. If you're having a crazy dream, it's because we're less distracted by other things. But that's our natural state. That would be our natural state if we didn't have everything that we're doing right now. I'm psyched that we don't have all this like rushing and schedules, and I'm psyched. There's a huge part of me that's super psyched about this. I mean, it sucks and it's so terrible and it's going to be a lot of suffering going on, but like, how fucking exciting is this?
Yeah, and if you're having vivid dreams, which I've also heard of, I myself have been having vivid dreams and downloads, whatever you call it, do something with it. Like, it's a very creative time. Like when we're pushed up against a wall, that's when things get creative. That's when we get creative during the hardships, during the hard times. What you do with your day matters. Open the heart. The heart is 6,000 times stronger than that. The magnetic field of the heart is 6,000 times stronger than that of the mind. So when we get into that heart space, when we're really able to generate from the heart, there is no fear. There's none.
What do you recommend? Like, what are some ways that people can get into their heart? People who maybe aren't as familiar with this kind of work.
So breath work is a good way, is an easy way. Anything that moves the arms, it opens, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Any kind of breath work. If you sit up real tall, you could take like 4 sips of breath in, just filling up the diaphragm, which is good anyway. You should be filling up the lungs. You should be working the diaphragm. You should be working the immune system as much as you can right now. In case you do get a bug, you want to be able to ward it off. You want strong lungs. So there's something called breath of fire, which is an equal inhale, equal exhale through the nose, which purifies the blood. So it looks like this. That's a rapid breath, and it's just equal inhale, equal exhale through the nose. There's something, a segmented breath. You could take like 4 sips of breath in, and then that will start to calm your anxiety. That will start to fill the lungs and clear the mind, that segmented breath. And then 4 sips in, 1 long breath out is a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the things that we were kind of talking about before we started this call is that I wondered if we could also talk about ways to deal with the fears of the people who we're living with and around right now, because some of our family members are glued to the news all day, and they're really allowing the fear and the anxiety to overwhelm them.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're in that space, it's very difficult to, keep your vibration up when the energy around you is just constantly heavy and pushing you down. So are there things that, because I know I'm experiencing this for myself, and there are things that I'm doing, and For me, I will take alone time, or I will try to sit outside, and, I will light a candle. I will, just try to kind of be alone with my thoughts and meditate or pray, or, whatever it is. But so,
Yeah, that's all very important to feed the self. My trick to this is, because I've had a lot of experience with this kind of thing, is I get up really early in the morning and I meditate and I pray and I set the vibration of the house. It's very ritualistic. It's in yoga terms, it's called the Amrit Vela, the time before the sun comes up. It's a very, very powerful time. Um, get up, meditate, pray before anybody else gets up. So whatever time that is for you. And I put on music. I put on positive music throughout the house. And I guarantee you, if people are waking up to that vibration, it feels really good. They don't even realize that they need it. And they don't turn on the TV. Maybe eventually they will, but it's not the first go-to, because the sound current in the house, the sound vibration in the house is so important. Extremely important. So if you're living with somebody and you're not doing that and you're being lazy, and then you're pointing the finger at them because they're watching the news all the time and they get up and they turn the TV on, it's in a way they're addicted to the fear, but they're afraid, so they're watching. It's this vicious cycle. But if you're getting up and you're creating the vibration in the house first, like, it's going to take a little practice to do this, but it's so important. This is the practice we're doing right now. Create that space. Make the coffee or whatever it is that's comforting to the other people in the house. Pour the juice, or make the pancakes, or whatever it is. Like, you've got time to do it. You've got the time to create this beautiful vibration for people to walk into, a loving vibration to wake up to and to start their morning.
that's so awesome. That's so amazing. I love that. I mean, it just goes to show that, like, now is when you can take that power, you can take the initiative. Another thing about, sort of, you're affecting the vibration, and the exciting thing about that, especially since we're having this very important experience of activating and setting this vibration of our internal space and our home setting. Just imagine what we're going to be able to do when all this is coming to a close, and we're going to do this out there as well.
Absolutely. You will start to see that your internal landscape, when you start setting the home, the internal landscape, the external landscape starts. And before you know it, you're starting to affect the neighborhood. You've got to start focusing bigger. We've got to start focusing more globally. So start with your neighborhood, start with, your country, your state, New York City, wherever you live, start there, and then just keep expanding out and expanding out and expanding out. Because right now, we are being asked to step up as leaders.
Yeah.
The country is desperate for leaders right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I was meditating the other day, and what you're talking about, it just, like, I had this image that I really loved, and I wish I was a better artist and I can draw it, but I had this image of sort of activating my heart space, and I could see my body sort of disappear. And then I saw it almost as, like, the center of the universe, and the whole sort of, not center of the universe, but the galaxy kind of swirling around. But my body was at the center, and my heart was at the center of where the swirling around of the galaxy was. And that kind of vision, for me, it just speaks to this idea that, we all hear that we're all one, but this experience is going to give us a better understanding of that in ways we couldn't have understood before this kind of an event happening. When you are doing what you're doing for yourself, and when you're giving that love and taking that time, it's going to affect everything that you encounter, and it's going to affect everyone around you. No matter what you put out there, that is going to affect everything else. So, I think people are understanding now, people who maybe weren't sensitive to energy, I think people are understanding now that, what you're putting out there is really going to affect people in significant ways. And putting care into how you take care of yourself, the things that you say and the things that you do, are just more important than ever. As you say, like, we're super powerful right now. And that's because there's just less stuff in the way. We're able to create from this loving space. And that's really where that's where I want to be. I don't know about anybody else, but.
Yeah, I mean, that's the idea. We really are going through this big upgrade, and whatever it is to get you still is happening. However that looks, but yeah, yeah, I love the imagery of your dream. It reminds me of the backdrop that you have behind you,
Yeah.
the galaxy.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah,
I like
yeah,
space. I mean, like I'm
yes.
always like, I'm in the star in the sky. Oh. I mean, maybe that's why, because I have like a shower curtain with a nebula on it. I'm a little obsessed with it just because it comforts me. Even if people in your house aren't like into this kind of stuff, or they will sense it. They will absolutely sense it, just how they sense when you're in a crappy mood. Like
Mhm.
they will absolutely sense it, and it will benefit them. They might not say it, they might not consciously notice it, but it's always helping. And that's another big thing about a lot of this stuff is you have to trust that this is all helping. What good is it going to do if we don't believe anymore? I think we're all, I think we're all finding alignment with that in ways that we haven't before. I'm talking to a lot of people who just really stayed away from religion or spirituality like it was the plague, but it's like now we're just recognizing this is part of being human. This is what being human is all about, and this is what increasing our capabilities and expanding ourselves and literally evolving our consciousness. Like this is what it is. It's not to be put in this box, like this is the human experience. This is what we came here to experience.
Mm. Yeah, especially during this time. So if you incarnated during this time, during this portal, we're in a new 7-year portal. It's going to get more intense. We've got to get stronger. It's not going away. It's things are going to get intense as we go through this transition. It's not just everybody's sort of freaked out right now about the virus and how it's happening. But these are the times. This is what it takes to create change.
Yeah.
So as we get stronger, I highly recommend, physical activity, mental activity, using that creativity, soul activity, meditation. Find, it's time to get on your game. I think everybody's doing that naturally. You're just kind of naturally doing it. I think the first, couple of days, people were watching the news and doing this, and they quickly realized, like, this is not feeding my spirit. This is not working for me. And they naturally wanted to go outside or run if you can, if you're in a place that isn't highly populated.
Yeah.
Bring plants inside.
Oh yeah.
Flowers. I always have flowers in my house. Just, we're beautiful.
Big fan of the plants.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Although I found some bugs the other day inside, and I was like, I love you guys. I know I'm supposed to love you guys, but I'm like, I'm sorry. I don't want you inside. I'm going to put you back outside. But still, no, you're right. I mean, it's like having plants, having, you know, having your pets around. Oh my God, what a, like you said, it's things will be very intense for a while. This kind of change doesn't happen lightly. So, stay in the light as much as you possibly can and accept the darkness that comes along with it. Don't resist that. I think that's another thing that can get us into a state of fear and stuckness, is kind of resisting the bad stuff that's coming, because you just kind of, but you really just want to relax into it, and you really want to try to flow with this because it's going to be like this. And that's just the natural state of things.
Yeah, and I hear a lot of people asking, how do I, protect myself from this, protect myself from the virus, protect myself from the darkness, protect myself from my family, protect, all this. I talk about protecting. You don't need to worry so much about the protecting as long as you're being the light. Again, taking responsibility. I know I've said this before. What are you doing to set the stage to create the light? And then you don't have to worry about protecting yourself, because that's actually going down to a lower vibration, a lower frequency to meet the shadow. And that's not a very high vibration. You don't want to be there. It doesn't feel good.
Yeah.
So if you're being creative, if you're journaling, if you're painting, if you're taking on a new hobby, if you're reading a book, or talking to people maybe you haven't spoken to in a while, and having loving conversations, that's gonna all feed your spirit. Like, does it make you feel good at the end of the day? Just notice the things that are making you feel good.
And also, when you feel tired, just fucking sleep, and sleep as long as you need to. I mean, you've got to replenish this, holding the light with all of this around, it can be exhausting. So give yourself a break and really give yourself, just give yourself lots of love. I mean, probably going to edit that out. It's like, and it's like I'm saying the same shit over and over, but
Yeah.
like, and I agree with the protection. I do think that there's a certain level of protection that you should do in the mornings, but not dwell on it. Just kind of set your energetic protection, especially if you're doing work that's serving others. Do what you can, but I do agree that, like, if you do focus on the idea of protection too much, you're actually bringing what's going to be coming up against that protection closer, just by bringing that idea like out into the world. You're reinforcing your need for it. So maybe we just remember to try to be in light as much as possible. But again, I mean, it's challenging, but we're up for it.
Yeah,
Have to be.
yeah, I mean, I have a mantra I do every morning for protection. That's it, and I wouldn't go through my day without creating that space. But yeah, there's a lot of interesting things happening on the internet too. So what we'd like to do is open up a level of discernment, right? Because there's people coming out, and whenever there's a crisis or any kind of crises, there's people scammering on the internet, trying to sell things. False prophesizing, just really this is when you get into the heart, you can start to get really discerning, right? And shadow is one of those things that people hook you with. It's a hook. So,
It feels like too.
Yeah, it feels icky.
Feels like
icky.
Yeah.
It's like ick. Yeah.
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 Well, thank you so much.
It
was really great. No, go ahead.
No, I said it's interesting. It's interesting. We all want change, right? But we don't want to change. And so that's what this is. It's the change that everybody wants, but nobody wants to do the work. Now it's time to do the work.
I mean, just an observation, but we've spent the last 10 or so years isolating ourselves with technology, socially isolating ourselves with technology, to the point that we manifested this as our reality. I mean, that's true. I mean, right? Like, it's pretty beautiful in a way. But well, I'm practicing. I'm doing sessions over the phone. Tara's doing sessions as well. And what are you doing coming up soon?
Oh, so one of the things I've been working on is the tarot, right? Like, so if you're interested in learning the tarot, I'm going to be doing a workshop on April 4th on that. It's a fun thing to learn and to play with. And, you like the tarot, you don't like the tarot, you're scared of the tarot, whatever it is, that'll be a fun workshop that I'll be doing with my friend Michael. And I'll be doing some online check-ins, and I also do intuitive readings and astrology charts.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Tara, for joining me today, and thank you guys for tuning in. And don't hesitate to reach out to either one of us with any questions or issues that you might be having. We're all here for you. We're here for one another. And we hope you have a good week. Stay safe, stay sane, stay in love.
Many blessings. Bye.